Hello, consciously parenting family. I think we're still getting the live set up. Okay. Hello, consciously parenting family, and welcome to the Conscious Coffee Break. Today we are talking about the pause, which is an awesome tool to help you move from responding reactively to responding the way that you intend to in your calmer moments when something happens with your kids. Um, so if you have questions or comments about this as I'm talking, please feel free to put them in the comments. And if you're here watching live, of course, it's always great to know that I'm not just talking to myself. So please say hi. And yeah, let's get started. I guess before I get started, I should introduce myself again. I'm Jen Kobrick. I'm a holistic family consultant with the Consciously Parenting Project. And these conscious coffee breaks are a way for us to share some stories, tidbits about the work that we do and help you see how this applies in real life. So let's talk about the pause. So the pause is the space between something happening and you responding to it. There's not always a pause, and that's why it's such a useful tool. When something is triggering, when there's something emotionally heated about something that happens or something that someone else does, then I'm sure that everyone watching has experienced this, where you react and then afterwards your brain catches up to what just happened and you realize what just happened, even if what you did is something that you're okay with, even if it wasn't a situation where you reacted in a way you're not proud of. That automatic reaction happens so fast that there's no conscious thought put into it whatsoever. And that's what gets us tripped up when we're trying to change patterns. When we've identified, I'm not happy with the way this thing is going. I'm not happy with, say, yelling at my kid when they drop something, when they spill food on the floor. If you've decided that this is a pattern you want to shift, and you may have even decided what you do want to do. You may have decided, when my toddler knocks over their milk, I want to, say, oops, it looks like the milk fell on the floor. I'm going to grab a towel and then I'd like you to help me clean it up, for example, right? But then when it actually comes to do it, you're sitting at dinner and your child knocks over their drink and, and it makes a big mess and you find yourself yelling at them before your brain even has time to recognize, oh, that's not what I wanted to do, right? And that's the hardest place to be in this work, I think, because that's the place where we then are looking at it after the fact and saying, man, I wish I had done that differently. And maybe even thinking things like, is it even possible for me to change? Could I even do something different? Or I'm hopeless. I can't do this any better. So this is where the pause comes in. And the pause is absolutely a work in progress. And at first, the pause will happen after the fact. At first, the pause will be later when you're calm, playing back through the situation that happened and how you reacted, and starting to become conscious of what was happening in that space. The feelings in your body, the thoughts going through your head, and talking about that with a compassionate listener is a really good way to start to slow that down. Because what happens in the moment when we react is that it happens so fast. It happens so fast that there's no time to think about it, right? So starting with after the fact, we slow down that moment so that you can start to see it in different parts. You can start to see, the cup falls and your heart rate speeds up and your fists clench and and your breath gets faster, and then the words come out of your mouth. right? And as you slow it down and you can see all of those different parts, then gradually you can start to see those parts as they're happening. So you can see the cup spills and your heart rate speeds up and your fists clench and your brain catches up then instead of afterwards, because your brain has started to recognize that these are the things that mean something's coming. And at first, your brain's going to catch up and you're still going to yell, and your brain's going to be watching as it happens instead of afterwards. And that's okay. That's still progress. That's still moving. You know, the pause has then shifted from after to during. And eventually, with continuing to work on these patterns, the pause will gradually shift to in front of the reaction, so that then the cup falls, your heart rate speeds up, your fists clench, and your brain is there and able to slow things down enough to insert itself and to say, we were going to handle this differently. And that's when the change actually happens externally in our actions. But before it can happen externally, we have to do all of that other stuff to get the pause moved back to before the reaction. And all of that stuff is our own work that can happen separate to the reactions in the emotionally heated moments. And all of that work is, is journaling, is reflection, is being heard and listened to by a compassionate listener. All of those pieces of the support and of the internal work is how we start to slow down those moments enough to see their parts and to engage consciously with the parts of what's happening. So all of that is a big explanation of what's happening, of how we actually make changes. And another piece of this, that's something that you can start applying immediately. So there's really two things that you can start doing immediately. The first is to practice pausing when you're not emotionally heated. So if your goal is to be able to pause for a moment between your child knocking over their cup and you yelling, if your goal is to pause there for a moment so that you can make a choice about how to respond and respond consciously instead of reacting unconsciously, if that's your goal, it's going to be the hardest to do it in that moment. If that's a moment that's triggering for you and that's emotionally heated and where you're losing the ability to be conscious, then that's going to be a really hard moment to pause. But if there's something else, like let's say making coffee in the morning, let's say that you do that very reflexively because you do it every morning. You put the filter in, you pour the coffee in, you put the mug under the coffee maker, you push the button, you walk away, you come back, you add sugar and milk to your coffee, you stir it up and you drink it, right? That can be very automatic if you do it every day. So that could be a place where you start to do that a little bit more mindfully, and pause in between each piece and think, do I really want to put this much coffee in the filter? Do I really want to put sugar in today? And not that you necessarily change anything about what you do, but that you practice introducing that intentional thought into an activity that is automatic but not emotionally heated. So that's a great way to practice the pause so that it becomes more natural to pause. And then that will translate over into the more challenging times. So that's the first thing, is to pause when you don't need a pause, to practice pausing. And then the second piece of the pause that you can take home and start doing right now is the part about doing the post pause, we'll call it, the pause after the fact. So this is where you have reacted and things didn't go the way you wanted them to. And then once you've realized that and you've calmed down, then coming back and replaying that event, either with someone who can hear you without judging and without trying to fix it or without trying to give you advice and tell you what to do, but just listen and reflect back what they hear you saying. If you have a person like that, or if you're able to reach out to one of our consultants, then that's ideal. If you don't, or if you're not comfortable with sharing that with a person, then you can do this journaling or talking to yourself in the shower, or recording a video of yourself and then playing it back and listening to yourself. There are lots of ways that you can do this, and we can brainstorm in the comments if none of those are sticking out as being doable for you. But the idea is you want to replay the moment in which you would have liked to pause and slow it way down and feel each movement of your body, feel each sensation in your body, think each thought slowly and separately, and pay attention to all of the detail of the moment. And it can be helpful to retell that moment the way you would like it to have gone. So to retell that moment, and that part you can do with your child. You know, your child should not be the one holding space for you experiencing everything that comes up when you start thinking through your reactions, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that needs to be healed coming up, and that's not your child's job. But the part about saying how you wish it had gone, what you wish you had done instead, that part is reparative, and that can be really healing to share that part with your child, to replay what happened and how you wish it happened. That, in a nutshell, is what a healing story is, and I'm sure that we will do lots more on those in the future. All right, so that's what I have to say about the pause, and I'm going to go take a look now and see if we have comments, and see if there are any questions or comments. So please get those into me if you have comments. Let me see. Okay. The video posted in a couple of different spots, so I'm going to just check all the spots and see if there's comments, questions. And also, while I'm checking for the comments here, I want to talk about other things that we have available, and other things that are upcoming. So the consciouslyparenting.com website has lots of information about our work, of course, and we can help get you connected through that website. Or if you send a private message to me or to the Consciously Parenting page, we can help connect you with a consultant who can hold space and listen compassionately, and you know, without judgment, without advice or fixing it, and just help you to see your patterns with more clarity, and to gain more consciousness about your parenting. And we also have some free healing story circles happening right now. You can find out about those at consciouslyparenting.com/COVID-19. And the last thing I want to make sure that you know about is that we have our membership opening very soon, within the next day or two. So if you want to get more information about that, you can send me a message or send the page a message as well. All right, so let's see. Anna says, I've been watching all of these steps evolve over the years, and you describe it so well. Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I think that one of the things that I really love about this work is that as I've become conscious about my own patterns, I also have become really conscious of how these patterns work in theory, you know, how they are structured. And it's really fascinating to me to sort of watch you know, watch all of the pieces of these things and how they fit together and how they happen, and then to communicate that so that hopefully you can also gain clarity on the things that are happening in your life, the patterns that you see happening in your interactions with your kids and with other people, because of course pausing is a very useful skill with lots of people, not just children. All right, I will give it just another minute here. If you are writing a question or comment or something like that, I will give it another minute to see if there are any more that come through, and then we'll wrap it up for today. So these coffee breaks, we'll keep doing them every Wednesday at the same time, 2 o'clock Eastern. They'll be the same bite-sized little tidbits of information, about 10 to 15 minutes. Next week, I'm planning to talk about transitions because we will be in the middle of a move for the next couple of weeks. And so I'm seeing all kinds of things about transitions, and some of them I think would be super helpful to other people as well. So we're going to talk about that next week. So definitely think about what your questions are about that and get them to me. And then the other thing for next week, or the week after next, is our Spanish team will be coming on and doing the coffee break in Spanish. So I will find out if they have a specific topic in mind, or if that's just going to be an introduction to consciously parenting in Spanish. But they are lovely people. So if you are a Spanish speaker, or if you know any Spanish speakers, please share that with them as well. And I am not seeing any more questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here, and I will see you all very soon in all of our groups and on Healing Story Circles, and I look forward to supporting you and your family on your consciously parenting journey. And have a lovely week.